On tonight's show, well, it's Alex's favorite acronym. Is HotD. We're gonna start with HotD tonight.
I love HotD.
Can somebody clip that for me, please?
Don't throw me. It was a good time.
I see the Chaos Incorporated is just continuing tonight.
Yes, it is.
I was in the cast chat all of last night, and we can't run it even on an After Dark show. We cannot run what the cast chat was last night.
It was pretty shenanigans. It was pretty funny.
Go check it out. Like I said, youtube.com/IDENTECO. But House of the Dragon, that's what HotD means. Although, with Matt Smith involved, I guess it's HotD as well. But still, House of the Dragons, according to George R.R. Martin, and I have to say according to, because right before we went live, Alex thinks he may have found some things that dispute one George R.R. Martin. But he confirms that House of the Dragon is going to run for 4 10-episode seasons to fully do justice to Dance with the Dragon. Now, Alex, you dispute that.
I don't dispute per se. So
okay.
What the headlines have been saying, and this is again where we get into and you used to work in journalism, so you can help with this when we get back to this. What the headlines say versus what the articles are saying versus what Martin is saying are a little off. It's schmoopy. And here's why. The headlines are all being like House of the Dragon to be 4 10-episode seasons, right? That's not what George R.R. Martin says, right? What he says is, in his mind, right, to tell the story of the Dance of Dragons properly, which is what this is, right? The first Targaryen Civil War. They would need 4 10-episode seasons, right? That's what they need to do it properly.
Yep.
Right? As of right now, HBO has only greenlit season 2. Right? Now, they greenlit season 2 basically at the start of season 1. Right? They saw the first episode numbers and they were like, all right, season 2, go. Right? And so Ryan Condal, who's the showrunner over there, immediately started working on HotD season 2. Right? In his thing right here, he says 4 10-episode seasons. Everybody else is kind of running with that, being like, it's going to be a 4-season thing. HBO hasn't confirmed squat.
Yeah.
Right?
HBO is hard to confirm anything right now.
Yes.
Given the Discovery takeover.
4 full seasons of 10 episodes each to do justice to Dance of the Dragons from start to finish. But right now, and this is from Martin's blog, Condal's focus is a HotD season 2 and Might is on wins of the winner. So, am I certain that Ryan Condal is trying to get HBO to give him some form of commitment so that he knows how fast he's got to pace this out? Absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
Do I think that HBO's given him a 4-season commitment? No, I do not. There is nowhere that I can find in any reputable trade where they've said, yes, HBO's greenlit all 4. Again, HBO has greenlit 2, but again, when I'm looking up the stuff on it, everybody's headlines is House of the Dragon is 4 seasons. House of the Dragon is 4 seasons. House of the Dragon is 4 seasons. So Mallo, what I would like you to tell our audience tonight is the difference between. All right, so let me do this as a Q&A. Mallo, as a journalist, do you write the final headline as it appears in the newspaper or on a website?
Technically, the editor would do that. Typically, or they would at least approve it. You can give a headline, but the editors would approve it before going live. At least they're supposed to.
And they can change it if they think they've got a better head.
Well, and then more importantly, the editors will help fact check for you and ensure that what you say is accurate going out the door.
Right. Now, will editors shorten, change, tweak a headline if they think it's going to get them more clicks or more eyeballs on that article?
In today's society, absolutely.
Right. So what it appears to be to me is that a lot of editors just went, yeah, we're going to call this 4 seasons. Yeah. Right? I'm going to look at polygons. House of the Dragon to run 4 seasons according to George R.R. Martin. That is the headline.
No. Polygon. I see. This is where I'm going to jump in. Polygon's exact headline says, House of the Dragon will run for 4 10-episode seasons, comma, George R.R. Martin confirms. Last I checked, George R.R. Martin is not, in fact, employed by HBO.
Now, he is an executive producer on the series. That being said, even if you go to the blog post, which I am now looking at,
Yes.
that they reference in their article, nowhere in this blog post does he say HBO has greenlit us for 4 seasons.
Yes. But there is a difference in the nomenclature, and I hate that it is nuanced, but like he is
When
an
they
executive
say confirms,
right.
they're full of crap.
He is an executive producer on a show. He does not work for HBO. The executive producers do not work for HBO either. They are the executive producers of the show that is being produced by a production company that was hired by HBO.
Which is Bastard Sword, I think, is the production company for...
Which is was my favorite, still to this day, my favorite D&D weapon to ever use.
Yes. Bastard, I believe, is the production company for HotD.
Yeah. All my second edition Blade Singers, shout out to you all. That's all I'm going to say. Most broken characters in the entire series. And that's saying something with D&D 1 around the corner. But no, it's an interesting sort of thing because we bring it up a little bit because, you know, House of Dragons has been, for all intents and purposes, a hit for HBO.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
In a time where, let's be honest, HBO needs all the love it can get because it could be next on the chopping block for Discovery.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah, Warner Brothers alone right now is on the chopping block for Discovery.
Seriously. Yeah, it's definitely a hit. I think that I'm sure internally they're going, look at us and look at Rings of Power. Right?
Yeah.
Because Rings of Power, I don't even think Amazon's putting out viewership numbers anymore.
It still has really good reviews and it still has good viewership as far as I know. Amazon is not one to put out viewership numbers, period, on a lot of things because that has to divulge certain information that I don't think that they want to just divulge unless they absolutely have to. Amazon would probably rather like to use the customer reviews and things like that to go for it.
Right.
With that said, have they put out any viewership for NFL, Thursday Night Football?
Charting higher than House of the Dragon. So they took the number 3 position, 792 million minutes of streaming.
That's not Amazon putting that out though. That's separate. That's independent.
This is their estimate.
Yeah.
For a few weeks ago. I mean, it's kind of amusing which ones have the most. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Also, there's some weird numbers in here because they're like, NCIS got 812 million minutes of streaming time. Like, yeah, but it's people watching back episodes and stuff like that. Like, it's not even a fair comparison.
Is it though, or does it matter? It's a fair debate, but like, does live quote unquote versus anything else really matter these days?
Unfortunately, because of the way that they're doing it, saying these things are comparable, in my opinion, is not fair.
Right.
And it's not an apples to apples comparison, right? I know a lot of people, myself included, where NCIS is like background viewing, right? They're like, I'm going to throw this on while I'm at work.
Yes.
Right. You know, and because it has 8 billion episodes, you know, there's a lot of room for it to be streamed.
Yeah. I in that same thing, I'd like to see the numbers for Law and Order at this point then.
Well, and this is actually where I think Peacock screwed up, but that's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
Because I love me some Law and Order. That's, again, it's like guilty pleasure, like binge, like stupid viewing. But it's one of my, like, I throw this on the background, like West Wing.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, I mean, I think that most of the headlines, like this Polygon again, is the one that really will run for 4 10-episode seasons, George R.R. Martin confirms. That's not what he said.
Yeah.
Right? And even in your article, doesn't even say that. Right? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, it's indicative of this. I don't think that it wouldn't run at this point for 4 10-episode seasons. I think that
I don't see why it wouldn't. It's
yeah. Now
it is a critical and audience hit right now.
Yeah.
And everybody was really worried after the end of the way Game of Thrones ended that it was going to be bad. Here's the difference. You don't have a production crew and a showrunner who's been doing it for 10 years and is tired of it.
Right. Which
Right?
I can sort of understand, but it's I don't know. I think there's a new showrunner and stuff like that. I think a lot of people have been the viewership is still, as far as I know, not as high as sort of Game of Thrones was. I don't still feel like it's in the nomenclature quite as much.
Yeah, but Game of Thrones wasn't at first.
True.
Game of Thrones didn't hit its peak until season 3 when it really became water cooler talk, and then everybody kind of caught up and stayed with it through the end. Around season 3 or 4, which is really where it was at its high point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are you caught up on HotD?
No, I'm not. I haven't seen a single episode on it yet because I'm waiting for the entire season to get there.
You're just gonna
I'm
binge
just
it?
gonna go through it. Yeah, I've got to travel again soon. I'm gonna be on airplanes.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna just roll with it all in there. I've got enough things to catch up on because we were doing, last couple episodes we did Cyberpunk Edge Runners. We did, there's Andor, there's She-Hulk, there was Werewolf by Night this past week too, which I completely I thought it was the wing that I haven't caught up with it. So
I gotta watch that one too. I may watch it tonight after the show. I will say this. I was one of the people that kind of side-eyed when they cast Matt Smith.
Yeah.
And it took me about 2 episodes before I was like, okay, now I'm good. I'm good. Right? Especially this most recent one, like, holy smokes. Like, if you haven't watched, I will say this, if you have not watched House of the Dragon, it is worth a watch. Right? So far, they've done a good job. Like, it's a firmly solid show. If you really enjoyed the political intrigue side of Game of Thrones, you're gonna love this show.
Nice.
There's some great moments.
Well, and
they're doing a
now
good job with
apparently you
and
get
the cast
to.
is good too.
There was a fun tweet that a friend of mine put out today, and I didn't know this because I'm not on TikTok all that much, but I don't know. I'm going to completely mispronounce the name of this drink, but the Negroni.
Spagliati. Yes.
Spagliati.
So,
okay.
I was wondering if we were going to touch on that because I am
will tell you,
enmeshed to TikTok.
I will tell you this: the tweet was basically, came from a bartender, and it was like, not looking forward to the thousands of these that I'm going to have to serve to bisexuals coming up this year.
So for those that don't know, right, the woman, or not woman, sorry, I apologize. That's not correct. They're a non-binary person.
Yep.
The person who plays Rhaenyra Targaryen in adult form was doing one of those, like, funny interviews that they do to promote shows, right, with the woman who plays older Alicent Hightower. And, they're doing, like, web-asked questions.
Yeah. I think it's
Right.
Emma Darcy.
Emma Darcy.
And Olivia Cook was the interviewer.
Right.
I think, yeah.
So Emma Darcy, they were asked what their drink of choice was. And you have to watch the clip, but the trend that was running around TikTok all weekend was that every woman who watched that clip woke up and realized that they were a lesbian. Like, that was the meme all weekend. Like, it was like every 5 seconds. I've seen that clip at least 500 times now.
Yeah.
Right. And then I saw the reactions from bartenders being like, "Oh no."
Well, and it's funny.
Gonna order this fucking drink now.
It's funny too because it was a fellow. It was a fellow by
It
a
was
woman that sent it to
on
me.
main TikTok.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Everybody got horny for Emma Darcy, like,
Well,
right at that
I
moment that
mean-
she talked about Negroni Spagliatos.
Well, look at her on the red carpet for House of Dragons. How can you not? Right? Like, no, a fellow bi and pan woman sent it to me, and because it was timed to National Coming Out Day too, when she sent it to me. So I got a great laugh out of that particular one because, again, I'm not on TikTok that much, but this one has transcended all of the other social media networks.
It did. And listen, if you were on TikTok, it's everywhere. No, they're doing a great job, and their portrayal of Rhaenyra Targaryen is solid.
Yeah.
This most recent episode, again, like, if you enjoyed the political intrigue and the interpersonal, like stuff,
Yeah.
It's a good show. I recommend it.
So
HBO, you've done it again.
So HBO continues to do it, and it's interesting because the flip side of this that we added to this is that Warner Brothers has been hit with 2 days straight of layoffs and cuts.
The axe of Zaslav continues.
It does, and we've been prophesizing this for weeks now. In fact, the last time I think I was on the show, we talked about this. But yesterday, the studio announced that it was cutting 26% of its personnel, which is about 125 positions, across their scripted, unscripted, and animation. And then today, they've got their streaming and marketing service, which I think is actually here in Seattle. I
don't know.
I believe there is a decent amount of it, I think, in Seattle, if I remember correctly. HBO at one time, and I had some conversations. And so they were hit with it today. So I think that is like 30% of their ad sales operations and stuff like that, and I think another 14% of staff.
I'll be honest, the fact that they're going to ad sales, right, tells me it sounds like they're really cutting some fat.
Yeah.
I'm looking to see what divisions from Warner Brothers Animations got pulled.
So apparently everything is being consolidated under two
unscripted and animation. Okay.
Yeah. I think there's two. I want to say that's bringing together Warner Brothers Animation and Cartoon Network together. Under the. I want to say it's under Warner Animation. Yeah. So I think there's three labels still running. That's going to be run by a guy named Sam Register.
So this is the thing. I don't think that this is like oh crap, Warner Brothers is going out of business.
Mm-hmm.
This feels to me, so I guess we fully moved to topic number 2 now. This to me feels like AT&T was mismanaging Warner Brothers. Mm-hmm. Warner Brothers was basically running amok, right?
Shocker.
Warner Brothers was basically running amok, and Zaslav's coming in there and just being like, no, we're not doing this. Well, I don't know about you, and I've been following the Warner Brothers thing since the merger. Right, we talked about the merger on this show, I think, when it first got announced.
Yes. I mean, we noted then that Zaslav is pretty brutal in what he does. But
he's also smart. The problem is this: he lets his creatives be creatives.
Yes.
Right. The reason the Discovery networks have been as successful as they have been is because he's like, go make good shows. The end.
Yeah.
Right. His statements about not putting things out under the DC brand that he feels will hurt the brand.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with him. Like, I know there are some people disappointed about some of this, but it's especially for Warner Brothers. Look how bad Warner Brothers has mangled what they've done with DC.
Yeah, we're not even going to talk about Black Adam on this show probably, because I cannot drink enough whiskey or take enough edibles to want to go to the theater and pay for a ticket to that show. I just can't.
And I love The Rock.
Oh, I do too. Love Dwayne Johnson to death, and he's done everything he possibly can to save that movie, and it still does not look like it's anything that's worthwhile to go watch in the theater. It's got Pierce Brosnan in it too, and I love him. Like, I just, I don't know.
And supposedly Henry Cavill's coming back in there, right? As Superman.
Yeah.
I have no. They have mangled. Warner Brothers has messed up.
Yeah.
A lot in the last. They have bungled and bungled and bungled, and occasionally they stumble into a success. The Batman with Pattinson.
Yeah.
Great movie.
That was a good movie.
Joker, I didn't love, but I understand why people liked. again, aside from when they accidentally bumble into a success, they've kind of screwed it up when they were under AT&T's thing.
Yeah.
Look how much John Oliver made fun of them when they were under AT&T.
Yeah.
How many times he yelled at them about being his business daddy,
Yeah.
right? Like they've kind of screwed up a lot.
Yeah.
And so the real question to me is when he's done with this phase, right?
What happens next?
What happens next?
Yeah.
Right? What creatives are you bringing in to fix it?
Well,
right?
Is it a nod to the creatives that are there? You have to wonder if this is a like, no, there's goodness here, to your point about they stumble on one every once in a while. And again, how much of that was the production company that was creating the writers that were creating Batman? Was that coming directly from DC and Warner Brothers, or was that somebody they found? And are they able to lock some of those people in for long-term deals to create some of these things? You got to wonder if they've gone through and they've looked at the staff that they have and said, okay, there's a core here that we can build around. It's like a rebuilding year in sports. All right, we're gonna use that. It's like a rebuilding year in sports. Like there's a core group.
Actually, that is a really apt metaphor for what I think is happening right now. I think he's jettisoning bad contracts and bad people, and trying to bring in good people.
I often wonder too. Like, so I don't want to say that anybody losing their job is a bad person.
No,
but I wonder if the fit isn't correct. And I think that's where a lot of, because you get it, again, using the sports analogy, you get it all the time where there's somebody that was riding the pine, on one team, and then they go to another team and suddenly they're a starter,
Geno Smith for the Seahawks, right?
I would argue, I don't know if he's a starter yet or not, but it's okay.
Who?
Geno Smith.
Geno, he's been starting all year for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
He's been starting all year, and here's the thing. He's setting efficiency records. He's been playing his mind off way better than he ever did in New York.
Yeah.
Right? He's been playing out of his mind. And maybe it's a system fit. Like you said, it's a fit thing.
Yeah.
Right? His passing numbers, I mean, he's throwing, he's connected on 77%.
He doesn't have that many people to throw to. That's the other problem, though.
Well, he's got DK, which, let's face it, it's DK Metcalf. I mean, the guy's a monster.
The guy's good, but he's one. You gotta have some other weapons around, which I think is what we're getting to it.
He's got DK and Tyler, and that's about it.
If they had the tangent counter on us.
Thank God they don't.
Yeah.
But again, I think your metaphor for a rebuilding year is probably correct.
Yeah.
I think that's what Zaslav is doing. And I think next year we're going to see a lot of announcements from DC. I think they're going to release Black Adam, and I think they're going to see how it does. They got Shazam coming. They are going to release The Flash. I'm sure Zaslav is pulling his hair out over that whole situation.
Probably.
Because the star can't promote the movie.
The star can't promote the movie, so what do? Do you go back to the co-stars? Do you go back to the
I have no idea how they're going to promote this film. He walked into a situation where they had 3-4 directors walk away from him because of the day and date stuff during COVID.
Yep.
Right? Which, as a consumer,
yeah,
I loved. Okay? I love that Warner Brothers did that during the pandemic as a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they didn't warn their creatives, the fact that they didn't work out the contract issues ahead of time, the fact that none of the creatives knew, right, was a mistake that Warner Brothers made. Again, this is all pre-Zaslav. Again, as a consumer, I thought it was the smartest thing they could have done. As someone who feels for the creatives, I absolutely know why Denis Villeneuve and Chris Nolan and everybody else was pissed as crap.
Yeah.
At Warner Brothers.
I wonder if those kinds of relationships can ever be pulled back in too, right?
Because I think that now that they're there, I'm sure they can.
Maybe so. We'll see. I'm interested to see where they go. I have this sneaking suspicion that come not E3. What's a really good, like, Warner Brothers doesn't have the big splashy. I mean, everybody's got the upfronts and stuff like that, but Warner Brothers doesn't have like a big, splashy event like D23 and stuff like that yet. I wonder if Zaslav, though, is gonna start building something of that in a brand in the way that Warner Brothers and stuff like that produces these things. I could be way off, but I just have this seeking suspicion that maybe there is a, like, and we talked about this a little while back. If they sell them to like Xbox or something like that, like, you've got a whole fucking division right there. Like, how do you not take advantage of that?
Yeah, and I know they've got the theory that he's doing this to flip the company, and maybe he is.
Yeah.
I don't get that sense, but he could be.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I feel bad for anybody that loses their job.
I do too.
I mean, it's always bad. Layoffs suck.
Yeah. Having, as somebody who's been a part of that a couple times in his life.
Yeah.
The thing I will say is that with the Amazons and Apples and other streaming services of the world, I think there's more of opportunity out there for folks that have left these positions.
Yeah, for sure.
Or at least that's my hope. Like, to leave it on something of a positive note, if there is one for losing, a role, is hopefully they're getting severance, and hopefully they've got a way to sort of easily transition into another role with so many places that are getting into the streaming game. Netflix is hiring, Apple's hiring, I think Amazon in their division is hiring and stuff like that too. So, you see the job listings out there and stuff. So hopefully they're able to kind of, again, it's about fit, I think. And if they land on their feet somewhere else, they could, maybe there's a chance that they can go and make some really cool stuff somewhere else. We'll see.
For sure.
Yeah.